Hi everyone, welcome to Xcoding with Alfian. In this video, we're going to add a simple feature to the existing SwiftUI ChatGPT app, which is cancellation of streaming response. With this feature, the user should be able to tap on a stop button to cancel the current streaming response. So in case the message is too long and the user just want to cancel, they can just tap on that button and it will stop streaming the response from the ChatGPT API. We're going to use Swift Structured Concurrency Task Cancellation for this. So, without further ado, let's just begin and start coding. Now, before we begin, you can download the starter project from this ChatGPT SwiftUI repository. So in here, just select the tab and select Task Cancellation Starter. And then you can select this code and then you can download the zip contain the project that you can open in Xcode. Now this is the starter project. First, let's navigate to the ChatGPT API to begin. ChatGPTAPI.swift. Okay, so inside this ChatGPTAPI.swift, let's scroll down to this send message stream. So this is an async method that we use to make an URL request to the OpenAI ChatGPT API to get the streaming response. And as you can see in here, it's returned the async throwing stream, right? So to understand about the how to use task cancellation, let's open this Swift official documentation about the concurrency. So I will share the link to this document in the description below. So first, let's take a look into this task and task group section, right? So I won't go into detail, but let's just focus on some of the cancellation mechanism in here. So basically in here, tasks are arranged in hierarchy, right? Each task will have the parent task and each task can have the child task. Because of this explicit relationship between the task and task group, this approach is called structured concurrency, right? This explicit parent-child relationship between tasks let Swift handle some behaviors like propagating cancellation for us. So this is the key. Whenever we want to use cancellation, we need to make sure it runs in a task with a structured concurrency hierarchy. It has a parent task and a child task, okay? And if you can see in here, right, inside this send message stream, we basically inside this async throwing stream continuation closure, we initialize this task priority user initiated explicitly, right? So whenever we use this task.init or maybe task.detach, this will basically run the task in a without the parent task. It will be detached. If you see in here, right? Unlike tasks that are a part of task group, an unstructured task doesn't have a parent task, right? So whenever we use these two, task.init with the priority and the task.detach, it will run in unstructured concurrency and it won't have parent tasks, which means whenever we cancel the parent task, the cancellation won't be propagated to this child task, okay? So that's one thing you need to consider about the propagation cancellation in Swift structured concurrency, right? So we will fix this basically by removing this task initializer and use different async throw initializer that will run in the async context. So we won't use continuation. Okay. The next thing is the task cancellation itself. Swift concurrency uses a cooperative cancellation model, right? Each task checks whether it has been cancelled at the appropriate points in the execution. So basically, it will be our responsible to handle the cancellation, right? What we will do after we check for the cancellation. So there are several things, example of the use cases, like throwing an error, like cancellation error if the task is already cancelled, returning a nil or an empty collection, returning the partially complete work. In our use case in here, we just want to throw a cancellation error, right? So basically we can use this task.check cancellation. this will throw an error, cancellation error, if the task has been cancelled. Or if you don't want to throw, you can use this task is cancelled. This just will return a boolean. So in case it is cancelled, you can do some kind of work, right? But in this case, we just want to throw an error. So we're going to use this try task that can check cancellation. Okay, what should we check for the cancellation? My recommendation is whenever you have you see a suspension point in your app, right? What I mean by suspension point, right? Inside your async method, whenever you call await, it means this method, this task itself, right, will be suspended, right, until this completes. And after this after it resumes from suspension, basically there's a possibility that the parent task has been cancelled, right? So we can invoke try task dot check cancellation after this suspension point got resumed, right? If you see this below the await. Okay, and also in here, as you can see, this has this for try await. We can also check in here. Okay, and now we need to handle this async throwing stream. So as you know, this async throwing stream will kick off an unstructured task, a structured concrete task in here using this task initializer. So we need to replace this so it can inherit the parent task. So the first problem is this continuation itself runs in the sync context, but there is another initializer that we can actually use for this async throwing stream. So let's remove this and let's remove the continuation parameter and then use this weak self. So using this initializer, the idea is just to basically return the string, and whenever the user of the async drawing stream doing for await loop in the async sequence, whenever we still keep returning the value, it will still keep on looping until we return nil as the value. Okay, so let's just implement for you to understand it. Okay, so let's copy this guardlet self here, paste this, and for the response text, cut this, put this above the async throwing stream, and then for try wait until cut this until this self that append to history list, and then put it here, and then remove this task initializer. So the idea is we need to remove this continuation.yield, and basically in here we need to return the. So this closure will keep on being invoked until we return nil. Okay, so the user of this asynchronous stream will definitely doing some trying of for try await, right, using that new for try async sequence, and whenever we keep on returning the value, it will still keep on doing that for loop until we return null in here. So here we also return nil after this result.lines has been completed. Okay, that means the for loop will end for this async sequence, as simple as that. And this async drawing stream initializer, this will run in async context, and basically we can do the await in here. We can suspend the method, the task, and this will inherit the parent task. So whenever we do the cancellation on the parent, this will the cancellation will get propagated. And don't forget in here we also have this for try await line, right? So in this, let's add try task dot check cancellation. Okay, let's try to build. The build succeeded. Okay, we have successfully added this update this send message stream, so it is now going to be able to propagate the cancellation from the parent task because we have removed that unstructured concurrency task initialization. So also in the send message, let's do the same in here. After this try wait, add the task check cancellation, and I think that's all. The suspension point in here. Okay. Okay, the build succeeded. Now we have updated the ChatGPT API to support cancellation propagation. So inside this view model, the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to declare a stored property for the task that we can actually cancel it later. If you see in here, to create a task, we can use this unstructured concurrency using this task.init or task.detach. Task.init will basically create an unstructured task that run the current actor where it is being initialized, but task.detach will run in that will be creating a structured task that's not part of the current actor. So it's a detached task. In this case, we're going to just use the task.init. So here, let's declare a task, var task. So it's a task. There's a generic placeholders for the success and failure. For the success, we're just going to use void, and for the failure, we use never. Let's make this an optional. Okay. So where we should initialize this? So we will initialize them in the it in the send tab and the retry message. So this will be triggered when the user tap on the send button, and this will be triggered when the user retry a message with an error. As you remember in the previous video, we added the backdoor rendering support for the iOS target. And basically for this task cancellation, we're going to only add it also for the iOS target. Later, when we add the Markdown attributed string support to the other targets, we're going to also add the task cancellation to the other platforms as well. Okay, so now go to the send tab and then cut these statements above the conditions before the macro conditions, and then pass that in the else block. And for the iOS target, let's assign of the task by initializing a task. Okay, and cut the send attributed await inside that, and then let's not forget to cut this also inside the closure. Okay, now we have the task in the send tab. Let's do the same in the retry. Cut the statements, put it here in the else, and then declare self the task, initialize the task, cut this await, paste it here, and then copy this guardlet index and self.message remove. Okay, now we have this, and before we move, let's declare a func cancel streaming response. In this method, we simply invoke self.task, it is optional, and then invoke cancel. So we will add the stop button in the content view later, and then in the closure action closure, we will basically invoke the ViewModel cancel streaming response to cancel the task. Okay, only if it is exists in here. And then let's not forget, after assigning the invoking the cancel, let's set it nil. Okay, now let's move on to the attributed. The first thing that I want to update in here, basically I want to move this all of this await call inside this do because I want to explicitly catch a cancellation error and provide a better message. Because a cancellation error message can be a bit cryptic, right? So let's provide a better messaging. So the first thing that we need to do is basically in here. Let's move the stream text to the top. This message row as well. Okay. And one more thing, I want to assign this message row send. Currently it's a constant. Let's update this to var. Okay. So in here, we don't have the attributed send in here. So first we're just going to render the raw text of the text, right, for the send. Later we will update later after we got this attributed send from the await. Now let's cut all of this and put this in the do. Okay, so basically when this parsing task throw an error or cancel, it can be also catch later. Remember, whenever we encounter a suspension point like this, let's check for the cancellation, right? So this will make it cooperative cooperative cancellation, like what Swift recommend us to basically do in our app for handling cancellation propagation. Okay, also copy this here. So this I'll wait for the parsing result as well. Let's check for the cancellation. Okay, and now I want to move this statement because it contains a wait as well to after this sub.messages. Okay, and I also want to add try task.check cancellation. So we now should be able to catch all the cancellation error, which we are going to do in here. Catch is cancellation error. So in case it's a cancellation error, we're going to handle it specifically by assigning the message response error with better messaging. The response was cancelled. Okay, and in case this response got null, right? I want to handle it both in here because remember, I think there's a logic in the view. If this response is null, it won't render the response error. So I think we still need to handle that properly in here. So if the message row response is nil, right? It means that we haven't received any response from the ChatGPT stream API. So in this case, we're just going to assign the response with the raw text, the string text. So this response error should be able to handle shown properly in the message row view. Let me show you what I mean. Because of this message response, right? If this is null, this won't get rendered, and then this response error itself will be depending on this. So that's why we still need to assign that in case it is null, so this response error can be rendered correctly. Okay, will succeeded. Oh, let's not forget to update this message row.send with the attributed enum and assign the associated value of attributed send. I think after we check for the task cancellation is better. Okay, nice. We have actually handled the cancellation cooperatively. And now for the final part is we just need to add a stop button to the content view.swift. Okay, so in this view, let's just navigate to this bottom view. So inside this h tag, we have this text field, right? And then this inside this if VM that is interacting with ChatGPT. Okay, so basically if the VM is interacting with the ChatGPT, currently we show just a dot loading view, right? But now let's just add a macro for the iOS target. For the other target, let's just still showing the dot loading view. Okay, for the iOS, we are going to add a button using this action label. In the action closure, we just simply invoke VM that cancel streaming response. And in label, we are going to use image using a system name, a symbol of stop.circle.fill. And let's use a font with the system size 30 and set the symbol rendering mode to multicolor and set the foreground color to red. Let's try to build. Okay, the build succeeded. Now we have to test this. Make sure before you test this, you assign the API key inside this SwiftUI ChatGPT app. Okay, so provide your API key in here. Now let's run this. Make sure you select the iOS simulator. Make sure you select the SwiftUI ChatGPT scheme as well in here. Now let's run. Okay, so this is the simulator. Okay, let's type plan me a day trip in Ubud, Bali. Send. Okay, there we have the stop button, and there's the response. Let's try to cancel this. Nice. It shows this custom error because we catch the cancellation error and provide a better error message. The response was cancelled. Nice, right? Now we are able to cancel the response from ChatGPT explicitly. Let's try regenerate response. Okay, cancel. Nice, everything works. We have implemented the task cancellation stop streaming response for our ChatGPT app. And I know that the OpenAI has already released the official ChatGPT API, and that I think is a very, very good move, right, by the OpenAI. But for now, let's just try to build this open source ChatGPT CPU app so we can learn together. And that's it for this video. Like the video if you like, subscribe if you haven't, and thanks for supporting me. Goodbye.